here is Lady Few Blog. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about integrating into another culture. I think the topic is very necessary for those of us who are living abroad. So when you find yourself living in a foreign land, living in a place that is not your fatherland, and a place that have another culture, another thinking, another mentality as the one you used to know, then you have to a sort of readjust yourself in order to fit into the culture. So one thing you need to know is this: you have to be open-minded. In being open-minded here, I mean you have to be flexible, you have to be open to change, you have to know that there are so many things that you need to learn or relearn in order to adapt well, in order to fit well into this culture. Things like let me make an example with myself. Like I'm living here in Germany, and the first time I went to a church here in Germany, oh my God, the shock! I can still remember the shock. You know how we used to dress in Africa. We dress as if we are going to party. We dress as if we are going to a naming ceremony, and when we are going to church on Sundays, because we believe that we are going to worship our King. We are going to visit the King of Kings. So we normally dress fine. We just dress fine. And that was exactly how I dressed when I went to church for the first time here in Germany. So immediately I stepped into the church, the way they were turning around looking at me was as if, I also turned around to look behind me to know maybe somebody is coming, somebody is standing behind me. Maybe that was the person they were looking at, but no, they were looking at me. And then when I tried talking to another black lady that I saw there, she now told me that they were looking at me because of the way I'm dressed. That here in Germany they normally dress so simple, they don't overdress. So that was the first lesson I learned. That here in Germany they love dressing so simple, they hardly overdress. So I now found out that there are so many do's and don'ts that one need to know here. So, in other words, I'm trying to say that when you are in a foreign land, you have to be open-minded, you have to be flexible, you have to be open to change, you have to, to relearn on certain things that you used to know, which may not be so relevant to the new place you are. Another thing you need to know is this: you have to network, you have to connect to people. And here, I mean, when you want to connect to people, I mean that you have to connect to people who are positive. Connect to positive people only. Connect to people who are there before you. Connect to people who know their left from their right. Connect to people who has a good mentality. Connect to people who will show you places that you don't know. Connect to people who will show you places that you need to know, or places that you need to go in order to arrive to your destination. Connect to people who will show you different groups that you need to connect to. Like when I came here, I connected to a woman who showed me a group that is relevant to me as a mother. The groups where they take children to, where the children learn how to move their bodies, where children build their motoric system. Those are the kind of groups that you need to connect to. Connect to people who tell you the relevance of knowing so many things that you need to know, that is good for you, and that is that will take you places in that place. That is what I mean. So when you connect to these people, that will help you. When you connect to these people, you will know what you need to know. You will not be there alone, because you need someone to teach you. You need to learn from someone. You need someone to take you to their different offices. The foreign office, you need someone to take you there. If you're new there and you have problems with your stay and you have problems with your papers, you need someone who will tell you how everything go, how what you will do in order not to fall into trouble, and how you can go about doing it in order to obtain anything that you want fast, very fast, something like that. That's what I meant by you need to connect to people who are positive. Finding a job is another good way of integrating into another culture, especially where they don't speak English or your mother tongue. Like my mother tongue is Igbo, and we learn English in school. And it's just like to say that English language is our second language. It's not my mother tongue. We just learn it in school, just like every other person. So, excuse me. So when you find a job like in a place like Germany, you will now have the opportunity to, to connect to the natives. You now have the opportunity to speak, to speak Dutch almost every day and every minute. And while you're speaking this, it will help. When you're speaking Dutch all the time, it will help you to improve on the language. Remember the saying that practice makes perfect. That is exactly how it is. If you don't practice the language, if you don't speak it, you will never get to know the language. No matter how good or how perfect you are in your mother tongue, if you don't practice this language they call German, you will never get through. You must learn how to speak it. And getting a job will pave a way for you to know the language very well. Getting a job will make you to be speaking the language, because that is the only means of communication here. If you want to speak to to your colleagues at work, there is no other language that you can communicate to except German. If you want to relate well with them, then you have to learn the language. If you want to visit them, then you have to learn the language. If you want to do, to take part in any of the activities that they are doing, or if you don't want to be left out, if you don't want to have this feeling of you are in the midst of people but you are alone, then you have to learn the language, because it's only when you learn the language that you will be comfortable. It's only when you learn the language that you will feel comfortable. It's only when you learn the language that you will feel happy. It's only when you learn the language that you can relate well to other people. It's only when you learn the language that you can express yourself. It's only when you learn the language that you will fight for your right. It's only when you learn the language that you can, you stand up in the face of oppression. Because if you don't know the language, it's just like you are dumb, not deaf. Even when they do something that you don't like, you can't even voice yourself out. You can't even say a word against it. You can't even say anything because you don't know how to speak the language. And another thing is this: you have to accept that you are in a foreign land that is not speaking your language. So learn the language. And not only learning the language, you have to learn to accept their way of life. As an Africa, we are meant to believe that if a child does something wrong, we can punish that child by beating up the child. It's wrong. That way of life is not here accepted. In Africa, sometimes husbands normally beat their wives. That way of life, that practice is not here accepted. In Africa, certain things that we just do and get away with it. Here, it is not accepted. This country is a very good law-abiding country. So you have to be careful. What do I mean here? You have to adapt. In order to adapt, you have to accept their way of life. And in order to accept their way of life, you have to, to relearn all those bad things, all those, all those bad things that we used to do, or all those outdated cultures that we used to practice and we believe is normal to them is abnormal. So in order to fit into this their culture, the culture of wherever you're living, I believe in Europe is almost the same culture. You have to accept their way of life and you have to adapt. So that is it for today. And a subscribing, a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. If you're just passing by, please subscribe and may God bless you.